Whoa! Whoa! I love what happened in this episode. I did, if you saw my live reaction to that certain moment. But listen, guys. Spoiler edition of The Walking Dead. The next world. Welcome to Dead Walking Sunday. This episode was okay. It was fine. I actually did really, I did enjoy this episode. I felt like there wasn't, it was very obvious. This episode was. It was very whoop, like that kind of scenario. Not comedic, but it felt like a comedic kind of situation when it came to Jesus and Rick and Daryl. What we had, a little bit of recap. What we had in this episode was a lot of people dealing with a lot of their shit and really trusting, not trusting, family doing what they have to do. And first of all, we have Rick. It's a time skip. There's a little bit of a time skip, not too far ahead. We have Carl. He's fine. He has, bandage on his eye. He's okay. We see a picture of him and Judith. Like, hey, I'm Carl and I'm fine. We see Michonne living with Rick, Carl, and Judith. And it really seems like a family there, except when we see Rick leaving, he kind of gives her a high five. So it's like still friend zoned. What I loved about this episode was the fact that they're really setting up for something special at the end, and you could see a little bit of the comic leak out into this episode. But there's a lot of things different about this episode as well, because while Rick and Daryl, because Daryl's not in the comic, Rick and Daryl go look for supplies, for food supplies. We also have Spencer dealing his whole situation. He's outside the woods. He's killing all zombies. He has a shovel on his back. Michonne spots him saying, "What are you doing out here? I'll follow you. It's my job to kind of keep an eye on you. I'm going to keep an eye on you." We see Carl and Enid, or whatever her name is. Their relationship is kind of strained at this point a little bit because she doesn't want to be out of there. She still feels like she's the lone wolf. Maggie's trying to tell her, you have a place with us. So I really think Enoch is the new Sophia. I think me and Mike were talking about that on one of our podcasts. But I did call it. I'm just going to say I called a certain event. But before we get there, it was so obvious, all right? And like I said, this is spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, I'm assuming you're going to watch the episode, because at this point, people are going to either watch it or not. We're already in season 6, and you're going to watch it or not. So I think the fact that, Spencer was looking for somebody with a shovel, and we're seeing this like kind of zombie body moving around, and we see Carl kind of freaking out like who it is, because he knows who it is. It's Diane. Okay, we knew it was Diane. I knew it was Diane. I mean, it was so obvious. It was when I was watching the part where Carl's like, "Oh, there's a walker." Like Diane. Like I knew it was Diane. It was just great that Carl didn't kill her, because he knows and he's been placed in that situation, which kind of makes it's good in this episode because it makes you harken back when he had to deal with Lori. So it's good. It's good that he knew the set of rules, the honorable way, so to speak, and he knew that Spencer had, and he did see Spencer and Michonne out in the woods, so he knew he had to take care of that. So, and then of course Michonne does give him that talking at the end, but Carl says, a family member should have killed her off, Diane. I would have done the same for you. So, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, that's right there, Carl. So we had that whole situation. Spencer does end up, killing Diane. Michonne did spot Carl, like I said, and gives him a talking to at the end, but it was a nice little moment they had. We also had Rick and Daryl finally meeting Jesus. They find a truck full of supplies. Jesus comes out of nowhere, steals the truck. They steal it back from Jesus. The truck ends up going in the lake. Whole situation there. And then Jesus gets knocked out. They bring him back to, of course, Alexandria, and we have this amazing moment. Like, people have been waiting for this. People have been wanting this, and it's very obvious that since Andrea is not in the picture, of course she is very much in the picture in the comic books, which I absolutely love because Andrea is my favorite character in the comic books. But I think for the show you need something new, and I think you need to embrace this relationship, and that is Michonne with Rick. We have it from somewhat like the comic book when Andrea first talks to Rick. It's just a different situation here and there. They do have like a little kind of playful conversation. It fit Rick and Michonne in their chemistry and their interaction, and they end up holding hands. Then they end up looking at each other's eyes, and they end up kissing, and then they end up making sweet, passionate, sweet, sexy love. So, and then Jesus pops out of nowhere and says, "We need to talk." Like, yeah, that was a pretty funny moment right there. But I did love how Rick comes out with his gun and Michonne gets her sword right away. Like, they're prepared even though after they're done boinking, you know what I mean? But absolutely love the fact that they have the balls to do it. It makes sense. It made sense since the first interaction between Michonne and Rick. Well, I want to say the first interaction, but the first chemistry kind of interaction where you could kind of see it like, well, if Andrea's out of the picture, the right way would to go to Michonne. And I said that after Jesse's death, that's pretty much official that they're probably going to go that way. And that's absolutely where they went. They went that way. And you got to give it bravo, applause to that, because I think it brings the show a little bit more. We do need a little bit more romance in here. We do need a little bit more sex, so to speak, because in the comics, that it's realistic, man. You're in an apocalyptic world. You survive. You try to eat. You shit. Whatever you have to shit, and you make sweet, passionate, sexy love. So that's what it is. I don't like Denise, though. I don't like her. I'm sorry. I don't like her. She's kind of annoying to me for some reason. So this episode, to really give my thoughts about it, there is some things I felt like it was very predictable. I did feel like it wasn't a bad episode. I actually did enjoy what they gave us. It felt like it slowed down a lot. It felt like the time skip kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't really feeling too much of the time skip, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be when people were saying time skip. It was just a little bit further down the line. I think the problem I have with it is because I read the comics, and I think there's a lot of great material in the comics that they could have played around with, especially with Rick and Carl. I mean, Rick has some pretty intense conversations with Denise and with Andrea, and really his psyche is somewhat very intriguing in the comics when it comes to Carl and that situation of him getting shot in the eye. But Carl isn't a little boy. Carl is a grown teenager. So them kind of time skipping it and kind of just going past that, I could understand. The whole situation with Rick and Michonne, as much as I loved it, I felt like it still was, it didn't seem like it was executed 100%. I think it was executed 90%. It was a great build-up, but it felt like it did come out of nowhere. And I think for a relationship like this, for fans waiting for it, I think they could have kind of executed a little bit better. And, you know, I'm not saying whole episode focused on them, but I think they needed a little bit more romantic moments heading into that actual definitely sexy time at the end. But then again, like I said, a realistic apocalypse, you don't need those romantic moments. You just need to be attracted to that person. But with Rick and Michonne, it's something different. It is, I believe, love. So, but I do love the fact that they went for it and we got what we got. Jesus, my opinion on Jesus is this. It's not what I pictured from the comics to live adaptation. No, most of the time that's not what it seems anyway. Like most of the time when you're picturing something and it ends up being this, it's not what you thought it was going to be, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It depends on what kind of situation that is. I think the guy who plays Jesus, don't remember his name, I think he did a pretty good job for what he was trying to do. So, but overall, I did really like this film. I thought it was overall, I really liked this episode. I thought it was great. I thought the situations, the setups and stuff were fine. I thought it was a little bit right on the nose of obvious of what was happening. But overall, pretty good episode. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like the video if you like it, and comment below. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'm Dan American Son. I am out here. Bye, guys.